Howdy y'all, thank you for joining me today for this playthrough of the Marvel Champions Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. expansion. This is a solo playthrough where I take the two decks that came with it and I take them unchanged, sleeve them up, and then play them up against the first villain in the scenario, which happens to be Black Widow. So for this playthrough, we're going to be doing Maria Hill. I already did the Nick Fury one. I was looking forward to Maria Hill playing. I ended up enjoying Nick Fury more than I thought I would, so we'll see if I enjoy Maria Hill as much as I did. Now I am going to go through a teach kind of, but really it's going to be, we're just going to play the first round and just kind of go over a general teach of the rules and how the game runs. That way if this is your first time to find this and you're interested to see if there's something you want to play, you'll be able to follow through the whole playthrough. But after we go through the first round, the only times I'm going to do any teach is going to just be if there's some kind of rule that comes up and I decide to just let you know how it works. Let's not mess around too much. We're going to get straight up to the setup for the villain. So we've already got Black Widow here. She starts with 13 hit points per player. So we already have her 13 since we're playing solo. So it lets us know here, Black Widow set and the standard encounter set. And I did play with the two modular sets of the aim abduction and the aim science. And next, during the Nick Fury one, I just did this randomly. But I'm going to go through here and pick out a minion, because that's what it says to do here. Each player searches the encounter deck for a minion and puts it into play, engaged with them. So I went out and got the aim scientist. And because it says put it into play, Surge is an ability that says when this is revealed, you play another card. But in this case, this is not being revealed. This is being put into play. And normally when a minion is engaging a player, it goes over in their area and it's engaged with them and they have to deal with it. But since we're playing solo, I like to just keep all the villain stuff in the same spot, since we're the ones that has to deal with all this anyways. But that's all the surge part is. It doesn't happen because, like I said, it says put into play. Vulnerable just means that if we have a way to stun or confuse them, we don't have to do the 2 damage to them instead. This does have an extra acceleration, which we'll talk about later if you don't know what that is. And then while the engaged player is engaged with another minion, aim scientist cannot be attacked. We don't have any other minions engaged with us. That's the reason I decided to go ahead and get this one. Plus, I figured we should be able to take this one out hopefully quickly. All right, since I searched through the deck, I'm going to be shuffling this while we go through the rest of this. So it starts with 2 threat per player on the main scheme. We have it here. If it ever gets 10 threat per player on the main scheme, we lose. So they're already 2 to the 10. So they're 20% of the way. She's 20% of the way to pulling off her main scheme. And then the acceleration, which we'll go through in the first step of the villain phase, is plus X per player. And X is equal to whatever her stage number is, which right now, Black Widow's stage number is 1. So that is the setup for the villain, other than giving this a few shuffles. I've already shuffled it about 100 times before starting the film, but put some on camera here, and then we'll cut it right there and put that over here. All right, now we set up the hero section. We start in alter ego form with Maria Hill here. She has 9 hit points and a hand size of 6. So 9 hit points. And then we're going to draw up the 6. Like I said, I have not changed this. Just going to give it a few shuffles here on camera. That should be good enough. Because like I said, I already gave this about 100 shuffles before. So there we go. And that's just anytime I go to play, I always shuffle the main deck 100 times. And for Maria Hill, she does have a thing here that's already done, I'm assuming with the deck, but it just lets you know that you can include a maximum number of copies of 3 shield supports in your deck from aspects other than your chosen aspect. Which, if you saw the unboxing, are the other helicarriers, the ones from each aspect. All right, so we're going to draw up to our hand size of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are set up and ready to go. So what we're going to be trying to do is A round consists of starting with the hero phase, and then after the hero phase, we go to the villain phase. And we're going to be going through these rounds until either we win or we lose. The way we win is we win if we manage to knock Black Widow out twice. So she's in her stage 1 right now. We'd have to knock her out here with her 13. And then she'll start again with her stage 2, go up to the full hit points, which here it's 16 per player. So she'll go to 16. So if we knock her out through both her stages, we win. We lose if she manages to pull off her main scheme. As it says here, if this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So if she gets 10 threat on here, we lose. Or all players are knocked out, which since we're solo, we're the only player. So if she knocks us out. So let's see if we can knock out Black Widow before she pulls off the other 2 things. After you've drawn your starting hand, you always get what's called a mulligan. The mulligan is you can discard any number of cards you want to from your hand and then draw back up to your max hand size of 6. I'm going to choose to discard this, which means we draw up to our hand size of 6. We already have 5, so we just redraw a card to replace that one. And we are now ready to begin. So we begin in the hero phase, and the player who is first player, who has the first player marker, is going to take their turn. For their turn, they're going to do actions until they decide that they are not doing any more actions or playing cards. The first thing we're going to do is Maria Hill has an action here that says, as an action, because it says action here, it says we can exhaust Maria Hill and then search our deck for a shield support and add it to our hand. So let's exhaust Maria Hill and go look for a shield support in our deck. I decided I'm going to go ahead and go for this. I'm going to go put this shield support into my hand. So, and shuffle afterwards. All right, should be more than enough shuffles. Next, I'm going to choose to play a card. And the way playing a card works is if you look at the top of every card, it has a number, unless it's a resource in this case, but it usually has a number on the top. So in order to play that card, you have to pay that number of resources in order to play the card. The way you do that is at the bottom of every card are these little resources. So by discarding the card, you basically pay the resources for that number. And it doesn't matter which resource it is here unless it says on the card. So I'm going to choose to play this command team. It costs me 2 resources. So we're going to discard this card, and the big deal about this one, it's a resource, but it usually the resource will say something special here, but it's just, this one is that it counts as 2 resources. So by discarding this one card, it pays the 2 costs to bring this into play. And then this is a support, which we just went and got, uses 3 command counters. That means it gets 3 counters on it, and then when those counters go away, this gets discarded. And then as an action, we can exhaust the command team and remove 1 command counter from it to ready an ally. So this comes into play. Since it's shield, we're going to put blue counters, but it gets 3 counters on it. And then it just sits to the side, waiting for us to use it. Next, I'm going to play another card, but this one actually has something different and unique on it. Because normally I'd have to pay 3 to put this ally into play. But if you look here, it actually says, as an action, I can spend a energy resource to put Slingshot into play from my hand under any player's control. At the end of the phase, which the phase is, we're in the hero phase right now, and then we go to the villain phase, and then the end of the round is once you've done the hero and the villain phases. But if Slingshot is still in play, return her to my hand, or to your hand. So we're going to activate that action. We're going to spend a energy resource. So we're going to discard this energy resource, which I wanted to use this for something else, but that lets us bring Slingshot into play. And normally, when you bring an ally into play, you can have up to 3 allies in play at a time. You can bring a 4th one into play, but then you have to discard an ally. And an ally is just another character that comes into play, and just like the support, except the difference being like this one goes away once all these counters go away. Or a lot of supports just stay in play always. This one just happens to have a condition about it. But an ally is usually in play until they lose all their hit points. So Slingshot, our yo-yo here, has 3 hit points. Next, a character can do a basic action. The way that works is, like in the case with Yo-Yo here, if she wants, she can exhaust herself and do a basic thwart, which says she would go thwart a scheme for this number, which means she would go to a scheme and remove that number of threat from a scheme. Or we can exhaust her to do a basic attack action, which would allow her to attack an enemy for this much damage. And then you'll notice there's these little stars on the allies. And if they do one of those basic actions, after they're done with that action, however many stars are there, they have to take consequence damage equal to those number of stars. So in this case, we're going to have Slingshot, exhaust, and attack an enemy for 2 damage. So she comes over here, and we can attack Black Widow, but she has a forced interrupt that we don't want to deal with right now. But we might as well just go ahead and take out this villain, and it's mainly because I want to get rid of this symbol right here. So, and I said villain, I meant minion. So we're going to attack this minion, and she's attacking for 2 damage. So 2 damage is enough to take out the AIM scientist. But like I said, she has 1 consequence star there, so she has to take 1 consequence damage for doing that action. Next, we're going to go ahead and activate the support that we just put into play earlier that says as an action we can exhaust command team and remove 1 command counter from it to ready an ally. So let's exhaust the command team, remove a counter from it, and it allows us to ready an ally. So we'll ready Slingshot. Well, she's readied, so she can do another basic action if we want to. So we're going to have her now exhaust and thwart a scheme for 2 threat. So the only scheme in play only has 2 threat on it, so we will remove 2 threat from that scheme. But once again, she has to take 1 consequence damage for doing that. So once you are done with your hero turn, it goes to the next player in player order. We're solo, so all the players have now taken a turn. So now we go to the end of the hero phase. The end of the hero phase, we actually have a trigger here, and it says at the end of the phase, this is the end of the phase, if Slingshot is still in play, return her to your hand. So she's returning to my hand. And then now, the first part is all players get to decide if they want to discard any cards from their hand. I'm going to choose to keep all these in hand, and once you've chosen if you're going to discard, you now draw back up to your maximum hand size. So now we draw back up to our maximum hand size of 6. We kept 4, so we're going to draw 2 new cards. Number 5 and number 6. Once you've drawn up to your max hand size, you ready and unexhaust all your cards. And that is the end of the hero phase. So now we go to the villain phase, and the first step of the villain phase is we're going to accelerate the scheme by this number here, which is plus X per player, and X is equal to Black Widow's stage number. So Black Widow's stage number is 1. So we're going to add 1 threat per player to the scheme. And I'm just going to show it. That's the reason I wanted to get rid of this, because that is extra acceleration, because you'll notice it looks the same. So that would mean we would have to add another threat there. After the acceleration step, we go to the villain activation. The villain will activate against each player, and depending on what form the player is in is what the villain will do. When they're activating against the player, they are in alter ego form, then the villain will scheme and add more threat to this main scheme. If the identity they're activating against is in hero form, then they will attack that identity. In this case, we are in alter ego form because we never moved into our hero form, so Black Widow will scheme. So Black Widow's going to scheme for 2, but since Black Widow is a villain, Black Widow gets what's called a boost card to whatever activation they are doing. So in this case, Black Widow is scheming for 2, and a boost card is dealt to the player and added to their boost pile if there's any there. In this case, I don't have any other boost cards. And then now we look at the boost cards after they're dealt, and we're ignoring the card, and we're only looking at the bottom of the card here, and we're looking for these symbols right here. And for every one of those symbols there, that is an additional threat or damage that they're going to do to with their activation. So in this case, scheming. So 2 plus 1. Black Widow's going to add 3 threat to the main scheme. If there are any minions that are engaged with the players, then they will now do exactly the same thing against that player, but they don't get the boost card unless they have an ability called Villainous. No minions, because we took care of it. Next, we move on to the encounter phase. In the encounter phase, each player is dealt an encounter card into their encounter pile. Once all players have been dealt an encounter card, they now would, during this step, have to deal with all encounter cards that are in their encounter pile. In this case, we didn't have any. We just have the one. So now we have to deal with this one encounter card. So we flip it over, and now we do care what the card is. In this case, the card is a side scheme, Mad Science. So what a side scheme is going to be a scheme that goes into play, and it's basically going to be an annoyance. And the annoyance is going to be because, in this case, it starts with 2 threat on it, and then it has hinder, which says it gets 2 additional threat per player. So it's going to start with 4 threat on it. And then, as long as this is in play, we have that acceleration, just like what was on the AIM Scientist. But also, each AIM minion gains 1 acceleration icon, so they get another one of those. So it just makes it to where the more AIM minions that are in play, the more threats going to get added here and just become a problem. So definitely want to take care of this. The main difference between a side scheme and a main scheme is if a side scheme, if all the threat is removed from a side scheme, then the side scheme goes away and is discarded into the encounter discard pile. Whereas a main scheme stays here unless it says otherwise. Once you've dealt with all your encounter cards, the last step of the villain phase is to pass the first player marker to the next player in turn order. We're solo. And then that's it. That is how a round of this goes. We're going to go back and forth. So we're back to the beginning of the hero phase. First action we're going to do is the one we already did. We're going to exhaust Maria Hill and go get a shield support. I already knew which one I wanted to go get because I wanted to get it last time, but I also wanted to take care of some stuff. So we went and got support staff, and that adds to our hand. Do some shuffles. We're going to go ahead and bring that into play. There's our 1 resource to do that. As we saw, it's a shield support. It gets 3 staff counters on it, so 3 uses. But it's a resource, so that means when we're discarding cards to pay for stuff as a resource, expenditure, we can exhaust support staff and remove 1 staff counter from it to generate a wild resource for a player whose identity has the shield trait. I want to activate this action again, and I want to, it says spend a energy resource, just like we did before. Well, this says as a resource, we can exhaust support staff and remove a staff counter from it. So it's exhaust support staff, remove a counter from it, and it gives us a wild resource, which a wild resource can count as anything when it is being spent. So in this case, we were spending a mental or a wild, so we got it, or a energy, sorry. Spend a energy, we did that. We get to put her back into play just like we did last time. And we're going to go ahead and have her thwart for 2. So she thwarts here for 2 and then takes a damage or consequence. We're going to activate the command tower to remove a counter, to ready a shield, or ready an ally. It doesn't have to be shield, just an ally. Ready the ally, and we're going to have slingshot thwart again for 2. Removing this side scheme. I mean, I kind of wanted to hit this one up, but... And then she takes a consequence damage. And while I like that ability to be able to draw this card, I think we cannot let her scheme again. So I think, unfortunately, well, we are going to switch to our hero form. And like I said earlier, you get to do that once for free, unless you have a card or something to let you do it normally. And then now, she has, if you'll notice, with the... just like the allies, she has her own abilities, and we'll talk about those. I'm sure I'll use them at one point in the game. But anyways, with each ally you control gains the shield trait. And then she has an action here that says move 1 all-purpose counter from a shield support to another shield support. I'm not going to do that, but just showing you how everything changes. With that, we're going to go to the end of my turn. So Slingshot comes back to hand because of her ability. We're going to keep all 5 cards that we still have in hand. So draw up to our hand size. But now, our hand size is 5. So we don't get to draw any new cards. So then, ready all of our cards. Back to the villain phase. Accelerate the scheme for 1. Adding 1 threat. I am in hero form. So Black Widow is going to attack. So she's attacking for 1. Deal a boost card, +1, so she's doing 2 damage. So I take 2 damage. No minions. We go to the encounter step. And we get an attachment. So this is an attachment. It's Black Widow's Gauntlet. It's going to give her +1 attack. Attach to Black Widow. Black Widow gains Retaliate 1, which means when I attack her with anybody, after the attack, if she still survives, then she retaliates and does this much damage back to him. In this case, Retaliate 1. As a hero response, after a character you control attacks Black Widow with no preparation ability was resolved, discard this card. Because we haven't done it yet, but when we attack Black Widow, it kind of cleans us up a little bit, but she gets to do like a preparation. So we're going to flip over the top card here, and it's going to do a preparation, and we have to do whatever the preparation says. Like in the case of this one would have been flipped, attach this card to Black Widow. So this stays in play until we attack her, and there is no preparation card. So basically we hit one that doesn't have a preparation on it. So we just attach this to her. All right, all encounters are done. So back to the beginning of our turn. So we're going to go ahead and switch to our alter ego form. We're going to do the action to exhaust Maria Hill to go get a support. We're going to go get another command team. Okay. Add that to hand. I keep putting it off, but I think we're just going to go ahead and do it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to play one of these big, this one I've been saving since the beginning of the game. It's 6 cost. We have 1 there. +2, it's a resource. And this one says, as a response, after I spend this card to pay for a shield support, place 1 all-purpose counter on that support after it enters play. So 2, 3, and we got to remember to put the counter on it. 4, and then this one has an interrupt that when I spend this card, I get to exhaust up to 3 allies and or supports I control that share a trait with my identity, and then generate their printed resources on each of the cards exhausted this way. So like I said, we paid 1, 2, 3, 4. These both have shield, 5, 6. So that pays the 6. To bring out the Pericles, the Pericles gets 2 supply counters plus the 1 from this, so it's going to have 3 on there. And then as an action, I can exhaust the Pericles and remove 1 supply counter from it to give a hero or villain a status card of my choice. And then give an ally or minion a status card of my choice. So 2 from the card and 1 from the special funding. And I was really wanting to get like Nick Fury or somebody out to make one of these using this ability not as weak, but I guess we got a free counter anyways. And I don't want her to scheme even more. So let's just go ahead and we're going to use the action to exhaust the Pericles and remove one supply counter from it. And we can give a hero or a villain a status card. We're not in hero form, but we do have a villain. And what we're going to do is we're going to confuse Black Widow. So what confused is the next time that a character would scheme or thwart, instead, they just get rid of confusion. And that's why we're putting it on Black Widow, because we want to make it to where she's not going to scheme this time since we're in alter ego form. And then the other part of this would be give an ally or a minion a status card. We don't have any allies. That's the reason I wanted to get Nick Fury out first. And there's no minions in play, so that part's just wasted. With that, we're going to go to the end of our turn. We're going to keep these two cards in hand. Draw up to our hand size of 6 since we're back in alter ego form. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Ready all of our cards. Back to the top. This is not scheming. This is accelerating the main scheme. So it does still add 1 to the main scheme. We are in an alter ego form. So Black Widow will scheme, but she's confused. So instead, she just gets rid of the confusion. No minions. So we go to the encounter step and do ourselves an encounter card. And now we do our encounter cards. And, oh, maybe it was a good thing we didn't bring out an ally because we saw this in the Nick Fury playthrough. But it's a treachery and it says, when revealed, deal 1 damage to a character you control, period. Deal 2 damage to a second character you control. Deal 3 damage to a third character you control. We only control 1 character. So 1 damage to a character we control. And then we have no other characters. So that treachery is done. Done with the encounter step. So back to the beginning of our turn. All right, I said I wanted to get Nick Fury into play. So he costs 4. I could use her ability to get this because I wanted to use this front organization. But no, instead, we're going to discard. There's 4. And that puts Nick Fury into play. Nick Fury has the same stats we already saw with Slingshot, hit points and everything. The difference being that he has a response that after Nick Fury uses a basic power, I place 1 all-purpose counter on a shield support. So let's go ahead and have Nick Fury thwart a scheme. It's only the main scheme, so he's thwarting it for 2. And then the response is that after he uses a basic power, which actually I guess technically this would take place first because now he took the consequence damage for using the basic power. Now after using that basic power, place 1 all-purpose shield counter on a shield support. We're going to put it on the command team. As much as this is stronger, it's really just because now I can use the command team to remove a counter, to ready an ally, and then have Nick Fury thwart again for 2. Removing 2. Takes the consequence damage, can add another counter, and this time we will put it on the Pericles. Next, we're going to have Maria Hill go ahead and switch to her hero form. She's going to choose to thwart for 2. So thwart for 2. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this. So the heroes, or the identities, are different. They still will activate the same with the thwart and attack. Just notice they don't have the consequence stars, so they don't take consequence damage for doing that action. But notice they also have another one called defense. And what that is when they're attacked, like I was earlier, I could have chosen to exhaust her and defend and not take any damage, or reduce the damage taken by this number. I was at full, so I was like, we could take it. And I'm going to show it, but on the other side, just in case you're new, is recovery. So if you're on the alter ego form, you can exhaust a character and recover that many hit points up to your max. So we're going to have her thwart, or she thwarted, so she's exhausted, but she don't take any consequence damage. We're going to go ahead and activate the Pericles, which remember removes a counter. And then it says to put a status card on a hero or villain. So we're going to put a tough status on our hero. And what tough status is the next time this hero would take any damage, instead of taking damage, they just get rid of the tough. And then also we get to give an ally or a minion a status. And we're going to do the same thing and put tough on the only ally we have in play, Nick Fury. All right, we're going to activate Slingshot's ability again, using the support staff to get the wild resource, to put Slingshot into play. Zoomed out a little bit, but I'm trying to keep it to where y'all can still read the cards if y'all need to. All right, so she's in play. We're going to have Slingshot go ahead and attack Black Widow. Now, Black Widow has a forced interrupt that says, when a character you control attacks Black Widow, remove one threat from the main scheme. And then if so, discard the top card of the encounter deck and resolve each preparation ability on that card. Okay, but since it says you have to remove a threat from the main scheme, there is no threat on here. So that means she does not get to do her forced interrupt. And I'm going to look that up, but I think I'm reading that right. But either way, Slingshot's attacking Black Widow. She doesn't do that. So she's just doing 2 damage to Black Widow. And then there's a hero response that says, after a character you control attacks, Black Widow, if no preparation ability was resolved, discard this card after resolving the retaliate keyword, which we do got to take care of that still. But no preparation ability was resolved. So I'm going to take that as that goes away. I'm going to trigger that hero response. But let's go ahead and trigger all the stuff. So retaliate 1's going to happen, but also Slingshot will take the consequence damage. So there's the consequence damage and then retaliate 1. And I mean, that's the way I'm going to do that hero response. I'm pretty sure that, I mean, it doesn't say you had to trigger her ability. It just said no preparation ability was resolved, which no preparation ability was resolved after this attack. So with that, we go to the end of our turn. I'm also wondering, I mean, it says at the end of the phase. Oh, at the end of the phase. So I might have been limiting myself on this because it says at the end of the phase, if Slingshot is still in play, return it to your hand. Yeah, I think I've been playing this hard style for me because it says at the end of the phase. I just figured it was when you trigger the end phase, but I don't think so. I think it's once you're done at the very end of the phase. So I don't think she comes back to my hand until after we draw up. So I think I've been really misplaying her. I know there's a different wording. It typically means it's during those triggers at the end phase. This is where, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you're new to getting into this game, they do not keep any consistency to their wording at all. So there's always questions that arise because of these. And that's why I like doing these videos, because it makes it to where I see these and hopefully can reach out to y'all to make sure I am doing it right, so that I can make sure I'm playing the game right. If I'm doing that wrong, it happens. I just don't want to spend too long and make this a long edit for me. I'm just going to do this at the end of the phase. So I may be doing that wrong, but I don't think so, because it says at the end of the phase, not at the end phase step or anything. So I think in this case, I'm moving on to my end step for the heroes. But I'm sure I'm doing that right, because I think I'm getting confused with some stuff that happens in Arkham. I'm pretty sure this is end of phase. There's not a at end of phase thing. It's just after all players are gone is when you do all this stuff. And then at the end of the phase, which is after that, is when this triggers. So we're going to do that. End of the phase, or at the end of the players have all gone. So now I have no cards in hand to discard. So we draw back up to our hand size of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We ready all of our stuff. And then after we ready is when she's going to bounce Yo-Yo back to our hand. Accelerate the main scheme by 1. Villain is going to activate. We are in hero form. And we could just do nothing. And when she comes to damage us, it'll just get rid of this toughness. And then, like I said, we can activate her or exhaust her and reduce the damage by defending and reduce the damage coming in by that, which wouldn't matter because any damage, we reduce the damage. If she does more than 2 damage, it's going to get rid of our toughness anyways, so might as well just keep it like this. But an ally, even though they don't have a defense, can choose to defend for us also. It's just if an ally defends, they don't get any reduction. They just got to take it in the face. But he also has toughness here. So we're going to have Nick Fury defend for us. So Black Widow's attacking for 1, plus the boost card, plus another 1. So Black Widow attacks for 2 damage. Nick Fury would take 2 damage, but he has toughness, so instead he just gets rid of the toughness. No minions in play, so we go to the encounter step, deal each player an encounter card, and deal with the encounter card, which is another minion. So we get an aim soldier here, who engages with us, but we're just going to put him over here. So we got the aim soldier here. He's got 3 hit points. He has patrol, and what patrol means is we cannot do anything about this main scheme until he's taken out. He's basically patrolling and trying to help her pull off her scheme. And then when revealed, find the aim scientist and put it in play engaged with you. So we already know where the aim scientist is. It was the first one we took. And it said put into play, so we ignore the surge again. I know I messed that up in the Nick Fury playthrough, and it wasn't surge I messed up, but I done something else that should have been done. But I did look it up. Surge is a put in play, does ignore it. Vulnerable, discard this character if it's stunned or confused. And now, since this guy's engaged with us, while engaged player is engaged with another minion, which I am, aim scientist cannot be attacked. So, and I know someone asked a question about this, and my brain thought of something and didn't really clarify. What I was meaning was, technically, since this guy cannot be attacked until this one gets taken out, but the vulnerable, so if you have a way to stun or confuse that is not an attack, like in the case of the Pericles here where it says I could throw a status onto any minion, well, that's not an attack. So I could put a status on here and the vulnerable would trigger then. So really, if I can't get him knocked out or this aim soldier knocked out, and I don't want this acceleration to be going on, I could just throw a stun or confuse on this character and it would just go away. But we'll see if we can just knock him out so we don't have to waste it on that, since toughness seems pretty good. And I'm doing that like that because this one's protecting it. Otherwise, I'd have the minions separated. All right, end of the encounter step. So back to the beginning of our turn. Now remember, this is where it sucks that I defended, because since I defended, I don't get to ready this until the end of my turn or phase. But I could do it with that, but we want to keep that in play. And right now, him being able to defend for us where we don't take damage seems good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and switch to alter ego form. And it's because I want this extra card. So we're going to go ahead and activate that action to exhaust her to go get a shield support. Actually, I had something else planned, but I think I'm going to go for the Bellerophon. So let's get this reshuffled. It goes to my hand. Yeah, because I was originally just going to go for that last command team and just use it as a resource. Really, it was because I didn't want to get rid of this, because this is really good against Black Widow because her ability only triggers when you attack her. This is not an attack. It's just straight damage. So I was thinking, man, this is really good. But I think instead, we're going to go ahead and bring the Bellerophon into play. It costs 6. 1, 2, 3. And then for each shield thing we exhaust, ally or support we exhaust, we get another one, so we got to exhaust 3 of them. So, unfortunately, not going to be able to use that, which I wanted to, but we exhaust those, and that pays for the Bellerophon. So the Bellerophon is going to get 3 counters on it, also 3 missile counters, uses, so once they're gone, this goes away. But as an action, we can exhaust the Bellerophon, remove 1 missile counter from it, and choose a player. Deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player, discarding all tough status cards from the enemies first. And that's not an attack, so it's not going to trigger Black Widow. So, well, I was going to put 3 counters on it, but it don't matter. We're going to put 3 counters on it, exhaust it, and remove 1. So it's got 2 counters left on it. And we're going to deal 3 damage to the villain. 3 damage to the villain. And that's not an attack, so it doesn't trigger her thing, because it says when a character you control attacks Black Widow. That's just damage. And then these minions are considered to be engaged with me, and the other part of the Bellerophon says does 3 damage to all minions engaged with the player. So I chose myself, done 3 damage to the villain, and then 3 damage to both of these. And this, once again, same thing. This can take damage because it says while the engaged player is engaged with another minion, aim scientist cannot be attacked. Not attacking it, just shot missiles here, boom, explosions, done. With that, we're going to go to the end of my turn. We're going to keep all 3 of these. So, draw up to our hand size of 6, 4, 5, 6. Ready all of our stuff. Accelerate the scheme by 1. We're in alter ego form, so she is going to scheme. So she schemes for 2 plus 1, so 3. No minions. Go to the encounter step, deal ourselves an encounter card. Oh, another side scheme. So automated defenses, going to get 3 plus hinder 1 per player, so it's kind of 4 threat on here. Each encounter card without a printed preparation ability gains preparation, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. So we want to take care of this before attacking her so that we don't, all of her stuff doesn't have preparation. And it gets an additional, while this is out, all boost cards get an additional boost. So that means basically it's like having a +1 stat to both of those. Into the encounter step, back to the beginning of our turn. First thing, we're going to switch to our hero form. And then Marie Hill's going to thwart for 2. So remove 2. We're going to bring Slingshot out by using her action. There's the resource. And then have her thwart for 2. Removing that side scheme. And then takes her consequence damage. I am worried this is building up. So I want to stun her since I'm in hero form and she would attack then. But then the counter step could be to scheme. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have the Pericles, do the Pericles thing where I get to choose a hero or villain and put a status on them. And I'm going to go ahead and confuse Black Widow. It seems weird, that's the reason I wanted to show that, but it's because I want to get other things out to set up for our next turn. So let's do that. We also get to choose a minion or ally to give a status to. There are no minions. So we will give Nick Fury a tough, since Slingshot's come back to my hand anyways. And it seems like kind of a waste since there's no other minions in play, but we're going to go ahead and use the Bellerophon to do 3 damage to the villain, and then 3 damage to all minions engaged. I have not engaged. And I could have Nick Fury go ahead and do something. He would not get knocked out from the consequence damage because he has toughness. But I think I'd rather have him defend for us. So I'm going to go ahead and play this Shield Director. It costs 2, and I wanted to save this to build up for getting another one of the helicarriers out, but the shield director is really good. It's an upgrade that's going to go on to Maria Hill. As an action, I can exhaust shield director to place one all-purpose counter on a shield support. Oh, man, this is better than I thought. I was thinking for some reason shield director, I was like, oh, Maria Hill. No. Exhaust this. Oh, this is way, way better than I was thinking. Because, yeah, we're going to go ahead and exhaust shield director to place an all-purpose counter on any one shield support. I mean, it doesn't really matter because of Maria Hill's ability, but we'll go ahead and put it on the Bellerophon. With that, we're going to go to the end of my turn. We're going to discard reinforcements, keeping the Iliad in our hand. We draw up to our hand size of 5, so we have 1 in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. Ready all of our stuff. And then Slingshot goes back to our hand. Go back to the villain phase. Accelerate the scheme by 1. I am in hero form, so Black Widow will attack. Nick Fury is going to defend. So Black Widow's attacking for 1, plus a boost. 2. Gets rid of the toughness. No minions in play, so deal ourselves an encounter card. And, oh man, I remember right, this is not very good. Yep, and surge is going to happen here, so let's do this now. We have abduct superhumans here. It's going to surge, so we're going to have to deal another encounter card to ourselves. We'll just leave it on this camera over here. Forced interrupt. When an ally leaves play, we have to tuck it under here and place threat here equal to its cost, and then place 1 acceleration token here. And then when defeated, put each ally tucked here into play under its owner's control. So it gets 2 on here per player. That actually has me something. Well, let's see what this other card is, but we might let Nick Fury go. But there we go. And then we have to do the surge, which is this, which is Dance of Death. When revealed, deal 1 damage to a character you control, deal 2 damage to the second character you control, and then 3 damage. So we're going to have to do 1 damage to one thing and 2 damage to another. So, all right, I'm not going to be able to bring out the Iliad like I wanted to, but I think I'm going to be able to do something else. We're actually going to play this team up. It costs 0. We have to have Maria Hill and Nick Fury in play. Maria Hill and Nick Fury are in play. So, as a hero action, we're in hero form. Place a total of 3 all-purpose counters and or threat tokens on shield supports and or suit form upgrades. So we basically get to put 3 counters on shield supports. We'll put 1 here, we're going to put 1 here, and we're going to put 1 here. We're going to use Command Team to ready Nick Fury. And now we're going to have Nick Fury thwart. So he thwarts for 2. And we're choosing this one. The main scheme. He's going to take a 3rd consequence damage, which is enough to knock him out. We have a forced interrupt from Abduct Superhumans that says, when an ally leaves play, tuck it under here and place threat here equal to its cost. I actually misplanned this. I did not. It's not going to work the way I thought it was. I also forgot to trigger Nick Fury's thing where I get to add a counter to a shield support. And we add an acceleration. Yeah, I misplanned this. I was thinking for some reason I was going to be able to thwart that. But that's fine. We'll do it next turn. Just means we're going to have more we're going to have to clean up. All right, we're going to use the support staff to get the wild resource to put Slingshot into play with her ability. We'll have Slingshot go ahead and thwart. And just to save time, we'll have Maria Hill thwart for 2 also. So thwarting for 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And Yo-Yo takes the damage for consequence. I apologize here because I really messed this up and I figured it was better to just pause the video during editing and put in my thoughts of why I ended up screwing this up so badly. So in trying to do a tricky thing that I end up doing on the next turn anyways, I ended up overthinking and forgetting to do the damage to Nick Fury, which is what I wanted to have happen. So he would have gotten knocked out and gotten underneath Abduct Superhumans so that I could defeat Abduct Superhumans in order to bring him back out. So I still would have been able to do everything I did, and this is why it messes me up to where I can't figure out how I had it planned in the first place. But just to put my thoughts down on the video so that during this pause you can see what I would have done in case you want to figure out where I was thinking. If I would have done the damage like I was supposed to, Maria Hill would have lost her toughness, Fury would have been KO'd, putting it underneath Abduct Superhumans and having 6 threat on there. Discard the Douglas to play reinforcements to put counters on command team and support staff. Support staff bringing out Slingshot, had Slingshot thwart, bringing Abduct Superhumans down to 4, used command team to ready Slingshot, and that's where it got messed up because I ended up using command team to go to Nick Fury. Had Slingshot thwart a second time, bringing Abduct Superhumans down to 2, and then had Maria Hill finish it off, which would have brought out Nick Fury, which would have allowed me to do Super Spies and everything I had planned. I apologize for that confusion. I just realized it was a bigger mess up than I could explain on just writing words. Back to the play. So we're going to go ahead and exhaust the Bellerophon to do 3 damage to the villain. And all minions, no minions, so just the villain taking damage. We'll exhaust Shield Director to put a counter on a shield support. And like I said, seems like a waste, but we're going to go ahead and activate the Pericles. We will stun Black Widow. And what stun is it's like confusion, where the next time that character would attack, they don't. Remove that instead. And we'll throw toughness on Slingshot because we can, but it ain't going to matter because it's going to go away. And with that, we're going to go to the end of our turn. I'm going to discard these 2 cards, keeping these 2. So draw up to our hand size of 5. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5. Ready all of our stuff, and then after that, Slingshot comes back to our hand. Accelerate the scheme by 1, plus there's 1 acceleration, so gets 2. We are in hero form, so Black Widow will attack, but she's stunned, so instead she just becomes unstunned. No minions, so we go to the encounter phase, and we deal with Covert Ops. When revealed, you are confused, and then Black Widow schemes. So Maria Hill is confused. And actually, it's funny because I was going to go in alter ego form thinking, oh, but then I was like, what if she has something that lets her scheme? Which Black Widow schemes. But she is confused, so she does not and just becomes unconfused. So back to the beginning of our turn. All right, we're going to activate the Shield Director or use the action to add a counter here, but it doesn't matter, so we're going to use that to remove this counter from here to bring out Slingshot with her ability. And then we're going to have Slingshot thwart for 2, which is enough to remove this side scheme, which is when defeated, put each ally tucked here into play under its owner's control. So Nick Fury comes into play under my control. We're going to have Nick Fury thwart for 2 to remove 2 threat. He takes a consequence damage, but he gets to put a counter onto a shield support. We'll put it on the Pericles. I also forgot to give Slingshot her damage from all that. We're going to switch to Alter Ego form and go ahead and do her action to let me go get a support. I'm looking for that other command team, which should still be in here. Yep, there it is. So reshuffle our deck. Because next we're going to bring out the Iliad. It's going to take 6. So 6. And we get to bring out the Iliad. Another helicarrier. This one gets the same thing. 3 counters, or 3 counters. Not the same thing because some of them have 2, but 3 counters on it. As an action, we exhaust the Iliad and remove a counter from it. And we get to either do 5 damage to an enemy, or remove 4 threat from a scheme, or heal 3 damage from an identity. So we got the Iliad in play here. Let's go ahead and use the Iliad. And we're going to remove 4 threat from a scheme. So 4 threat from a scheme. And we're going to go ahead and use the Bellerophon to KO, do 3 damage to the villain, which is going to KO the villain. And there's no minions, so nothing goes with minions. But since the villain is KO'd, we take her to her next stage, which is at 16 hit points per player, but also 2 threat per player to the main scheme. So she goes to 16. We've got to knock her out here to win. And then 2 threat is added back to the main scheme. That was the main reason why I went ahead and removed 4. And let's activate the Pericles. And we're going to confuse Black Widow. And put a toughness on Nick Fury. And then we're going to activate the command tower to remove a counter, to ready Slingshot. And then we're going to have Slingshot. We're actually going to have Slingshot attack Black Widow so that you can see the way her ability works. So when a character you control attacks Black Widow, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. There is threat here, so we remove 1 threat from the main scheme. And then now, discard the top card of the encounter deck and resolve each preparation ability on that card. So we discard this card, and if there's a preparation on here, there isn't. But so the way that would have worked, if this would have had a preparation, then it would have done whatever the preparation says. So in this case, nothing. And then we attack Black Widow for 2. With that, we go to the end of my turn. I have no cards in hand, so nothing to discard. So we draw up to our hand size of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of just want to get the game done. 1, taking a while, but 2, before our deck runs out so we don't have to deal with double encounters. Ready all of our stuff, and Slingshot will go back into our hand at the end of that. All right, accelerate the scheme, but this time it's by 2 because it goes by her stage number, so adds 2. We're in Alter Ego form, so Black Widow will scheme, but she's confused, so she just becomes unconfused. Go to the encounter phase, do ourselves an encounter card. Do the encounter card. Oh, what is this? When revealed, if you are in Alter Ego form, change to hero form. Black Widow attacks you, and then give an additional card for this attack. Okay, so we are in Alter Ego form, so we switch to hero form. And it said she's going to attack us. I have the toughness. I'm just going to let it happen. So she's going to attack me, giving her an additional boost card for the attack. So she's attacking. She gets a boost card, but she gets an additional boost card. So that's what I was talking about, where there could be multiple boost cards. And then she's doing 4 plus 2. So 6 damage. I didn't defend, so I don't get to reduce it, but we have toughness, so instead of taking 6 damage, we just lose the toughness. We go back to the beginning of our turn. Melinda May cost us 4, so we're going to bring Chun-Li out here. So we got 1, 2, and for each shield 1 we exhaust, 3, 4. And we bring out Melinda May. We're going to use the Shield Director, just because I don't want to have to discard stuff to throw one on the Bellerophon. We will have Nick Fury attack. I was about to attack with Nick Fury and I realized there's threat on the scheme, so she will get preparations. So actually, I was going to do this to do damage, but we're going to do it just to remove a bunch of threats. So we're going to do All Points Bulletin, which really good card, because once again, it's not an attack or a thwart, so it doesn't matter whether you're confused or stunned. This card's really good, but you have to have a lot of shield things out, because it says as a hero action, so I'm in hero form, so an action, for each shield support you control, choose, and you get to either remove 1 threat from a scheme or deal 1 damage to an enemy. So, and also, you get to spread that out the way I read that, unless I'm reading it wrong, because it's like, for each shield support you get to choose. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shield supports, so I can get rid of, in any combination, 5 threat and deal 5 damage. So we're going to get rid of 3 threat here and deal 2 damage to Black Widow. Oh, I almost put this back in my hand. That was how I paid for it. Sorry, I didn't show that, but it costs 2. Yeah, let's do that. And even if that wouldn't have been able to be done damage, but I know that's how I'm reading it, but that's the way I read it. But even if it didn't do damage, I have enough here now, because I would have just used it to tank all the threat, because yeah, and we're going to save time here. He's going to do 2 damage. Taking her to 10. He doesn't take the consequence damage because he's got a toughness, so toughness absorbs that. He gets to put a counter on a shield support. We're going to use that to bring out Slingshot. And then, just to save time, we're going to attack with Melinda May and Slingshot. And I know I didn't say it when I attacked with Nick Fury, but because that's the reason I need to get rid of the threat first, because now there's no preparations to do, because there's no way for her thing to trigger. So she takes 4 damage from Melinda May and Yo-Yo. They each take a consequence damage. Melinda May has a trigger that after Melinda May uses a basic power, look at the top card of the encounter deck. You may discard that card. So we look at the top card. Sure, we'll just discard it. And then, like I said, just to save time, we'll have Maria Hill just so that she does at least 1 damage. We'll have Maria Hill attack for 1, which once again ain't going to do anything, so do damage, and then this is going to do 3 plus 5, so 8, 9 damage to her. So, enough to KO her and win. I did like this, but yeah, it was fun once you get these out, but man, having to pay for those, I would definitely probably throw some stuff in that helps you pay for these a lot more. And we can talk about them more. Let me clean this up, and then we'll do like we always do at the end, and we'll go through all the cards again so that we can see if I feel any different or say anything different since the unboxing. Okay, so here's where I just, at the end here, if you don't want to stick through this, cool. I hope you enjoyed what the playthrough was, and I thank you for watching. This is just something I like to do where I like to go through the whole deck, and now, since the unboxing, see if I have a different feeling on any of the cards, or if I misread a card or saw a card like a Yo-Yo did in the playthrough. And we're just going to go through the cards quickly and see how I feel about them and see what I got to say about them now after playing with it. So Maria Hill, right off the bat, each ally you control gains the shield trait. I mean, that's cool because you could throw things in there, and that's going to make me want to look at them and give them that shield trait so that you could use the leadership card that we saw there, where it's exhaust each ally or support with shield. So, I mean, that just makes it to where you kind of want to make her leadership, in my opinion. So, yeah, I like it. And being able to move things around there, I didn't use it that much, but there were definitely times where, well, there was a turn for sure where I was going to do that. But then I happened to draw the one where if you have Nick Fury and Maria Hill out, get counters. So being able to use something when you need to and move those counters around, that's really good. But you only do it once per round. I think I only did it once, but we could have done it multiple times. Let's look at her alter ego. I mean, exhausted to go search for a card. That's basically like drawing another card, so you can use it for the resource. So it helps pay for those big ones. I would want to see if there's other shield supports, which I think there are. I'm pretty sure they're not upgrades. I'm pretty sure it's supports. So I think I know ones I would throw in here. Oh, but you really wouldn't be able to do it. It is depending on your aspect. But yeah, no, this was cool for sure. I mean, you saw me use it a lot because that's like getting a card draw basically. So really, really good in my opinion on that. And the only other things I didn't talk about with her, we didn't really do the recovery. We only thwarted with her and we attacked with her at the end. But I mean, she's not really here. I mean, yeah, getting the 2 thwarts so that you can handle that thwart. That attack's pretty weak, but you're really wanting to use her to move those counters around and use those shield supports and stuff like that. And I didn't even think about it during the unboxing of her reassignment being able to be used on the helicarriers and stuff. So that's really good, really good. I did not get to use this. I still think this is good. The front organization, definitely there was a point in time where if we would have hit the standard encounter card treachery that makes us have to get rid of stuff, or if you're playing against someone that gets rid of stuff, this is going to be something you're going to want, especially since, as you saw in this playthrough, you need to have those things out. So I like this. I don't know if I like it as a 3 of, well, you might need it though. Yeah, when you need it, you're going to need it. So yeah, this is good. I just didn't never put it in play because I was using it for resources, but there were several times I thought about putting it in play just in case that came up and I didn't want to have to lose a helicarrier or lose the anything, any of my supports. So I think this is really good. And I just noticed it's not just supports. No, this is way better than I thought. Because it says when an encounter card effect would discard a card you control. So I want to say, it doesn't say, I think there's some that say discard an ally. So that could be that. Or, yeah, no, this is way better than I thought. I like this a lot. And the fact you can play it under another player's control. So that way, if they are the ones, you're not getting your stuff or you already got one. So yeah, I'd probably play with 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, this is really good. Didn't get to play it. I saw it. I thought about getting it a couple times, but I wasn't really wanting to bring out Yo-Yo, and I didn't really have the other allies at the time. But yeah, I mean, being able to exhaust it and just put an ally straight into play. So especially with Maria Hill's ability of making any ally a shield, add the shield trait. So I mean, with this, being able to throw maybe 1 or 2 like Beta Ray Bill or some of those really expensive allies into the deck and just being able to bring them out for free, but also let you choose another player. So if another player is playing someone, yeah, this is good. I mean, all of them are going to be good. I think the only one, and we'll talk about it, the Douglas is the only one I'm on, but I'm still not going to say it's bad. It's still good. All points bulletin. Yeah, we just talked about it. I'm still reading that for each shield support you control, you get to choose. It's not just count up how many shield supports you have and that's how much threat and how much. No, it's for each one choose. So I think I did that right. And there's 2 of these in the deck. Yeah, that's good. And it's because it's damage and it's removed threat and it's not a thwart or attack. So you don't have to worry about stuns or confuses. No, that's really, really good. You just got to make sure you have a bunch of those shield supports. It's really, really good. All right, anyways. Special funding helps you bring out those big boys and gets you put another counter on them. So, yeah, very good. I like it, and it's got a share. I was about to say, I didn't think it said just shield. It just said share a trait. So, I mean, this is really going to affect all those decks where you're doing traits. Like, do I want to look at, oh, but it's leadership. So, I mean, yeah, if you're building a leadership deck, actually, I'm now thinking about my Avenger deck. My She-Hulk Avenger deck could even use one or two of these. But if you're playing with those, if you're playing this deck where you're going for that, and which I'm thinking about keeping this deck completely together, so probably keep all of these in there, or maybe just go down to 2, but I think I'm going to keep them all in there. I was hoping to draw this so I could get things out faster. This is what's going to get taken out of the deck, and I could belabor the point, but if you saw my unboxing, I'm just going to quickly go over it. I still do not like cards like this. I'm not saying they're bad, they're just not my play style, and my problem with them is, cool. Yes, if that treachery that comes out is one that could lose you the game, you get to discard it, but you have to draw another one and do it then. Now, I will say, what I do like about this over a lot of the other cards that don't do it is, at least this one, it's out there and you can choose when to do it. So it can stay out there as a support. While it's out there as support, now you can choose to play it. And the fact you can play it under someone else's control. Oh, but they got to have all the shield traits, so you're not going to put it under someone else's control unless they're playing a shield deck. But yours is going to have it if you're in hero form. So I do like this one better than most of the other ones that are just playing an event or something like that. I will say that about this one, because you can have it out there for that situation I'm talking about. So this one's just slightly better than the one I was thinking of, because you can, oh no, it's out there, and then, oh no, now we hit Shadows of the Past, or now we hit something that makes us lose. Boom. Hit Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I will say this is better than what I normally would say. The Douglas, I wanted to bring it out. I could definitely see it, especially against certain villains. And then actually, if I could have got it out on the turn where with Nick Fury, it would have helped, where I had let him get knocked out. Because, yeah, removing 2 threat from every single scheme and ignoring the crisis. Yeah, it's good. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's good. I say it's just the one I don't like the most just because it is only 2 threat. But if it was removing more than 2 threat, it'd just be too busted, because I feel like a lot of the side schemes typically have at least 3 on there. So they have to put it at 2. I get it. I never did look to see if this is a reprint of an old card. I think it is. And I like it. I mean, Ready and an Ally, I just never realized it was shield. And because my War Machine shield deck is Justice, never really looked at it. But I want to say that's why. Because I want to say when I was building War Machine originally, I was looking at going Leadership Shield. So this is just going to let me have my Leadership Shield deck. Like, I was thinking, man, what could I take out of my War Machine shield deck? But I don't think I would take anything out, because it's Justice. So the only things I would be able to take out and add, I would have to take out some of these, which would go anti what this deck's trying to do. So, I mean, especially with having to have these 6s, I would definitely have all 3 of these in there. They're kind of staples, but yeah, you got to pay for those 6s. And then especially if you're going to go ahead and throw in an expensive ally so that you can use that Cersei, and then just in case the Cersei's not coming out, maybe get that expensive ally out sooner. So I never used these. I kept using them for resources, and it's because it's really only for one going to throw one onto one of the big ones, which I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's just, but I could have thrown, yeah, I could have chosen the, oh, I could actually see if you had, and there was a chance I could have done it. There's a point I could have done it. If I had 2 of these out and then plus that other support, so now I'm reloading those, so it's just like doing that. But like if you don't have a bunch of cheap ones out, then you're only loading up one of the helicarriers. It's not bad. It's still good. Because actually the card I was thinking that I'd put in there, but I'd want to see what other supports I could put in there to where it's not just those. Good for both of them, but you got to have them both out. But as you saw there with Maria Hill, it's very easy to keep Nick Fury out with this deck, because then you just have Nick Fury sitting there. Yeah, if you have the Pericles out, he's just defending for you as long as something else doesn't take him out. So, yeah. We already talked about it. On the double, there were so many times I wanted to use this because then I could use the leadership resource to exhaust them to pay and then ready them. So there were times I wanted to use this. It was just situationally, there were times it was using it to bring out something big or bring out something else. So I just never got a chance, but this is good. I like that on the double a lot. I wanted to bring it out, but we already had toughness on us, so we didn't really need it. And the nice thing is this gets around the piercing, because piercing gets rid of the toughness before it does damage. So then this is just basically, you're still going to stop yourself from taking damage. So I just end up using it for a resource, but no, I like the cards like that. Wanted to bring her out. Just, it was one of those situations where it's like I could bring her out or I could bring out, I think I discarded her for Nick Fury, if I remember right. If not, it was either for Nick Fury or one of the helicarriers, which just was going to give me bigger bang for my buck with her. So he's in my other deck. I even reread him just to see if I want to bring him out. And especially with this deck, he could do some major damage. So, I mean, you think about it, if I would have brought him out, he would have been doing 5 attack, and then 5 attack. And then if I could throw, if I had the Pericles out, I'm throwing a toughness on him. So he's doing 5 damage and the toughness goes away. So he's not getting knocked out. No, yeah. I like him a lot in this deck. I want to say I've never even got to use him in my other deck. So I like him in this deck a lot. I want to. It's just the odds of hitting a treachery, especially against certain allies. That's the reason I didn't bring him out and I just used him to pay for something. Now, I do like that if you know you have a mental resource in hand, then he's really good. And you're just hoping to basically get the thwart or attack out of him before he's got to go. So, no, it's good. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's not. It's good either way. I'd want to look at my War Machine shield deck and just see. Whichever one of these has more mental resources is probably the one I would end up putting him in. So this might be a space that gets freed up. We'll see. Yeah, we already talked about special funding. Yeah. Let's get this faster because we've been here long enough. The hard call. I really did not want to discard that. I wanted to save it, but I don't think there's a point. I mean, basically my problem with this one is, and not really a problem, it's just, this is the finishing move. So like on that last turn when I was like, oh no, is this enough? Once again, it's not an attack. So, and I didn't catch that until playing this deck, that how many of her cards were not attacked. So I know I did not say that during the unboxing. So this would have been the finishing move. Oh, she's got a bunch there. I don't want her to have to do her preparation trigger. Finishing move. Knockout. You basically just you make the hard call. You ram a helicarrier into the villain and knock him out. Yeah. I love that card. That is a great card. And I don't remember. Was there 2 of them? I want to say there's 2 of them. No, I think there's only 1. I'm going to assume there's only 1 because that's really good. Shield Director, way better than I thought. I want to say for some reason my brain, when it read this, was thinking Shield Director, so exhaust Maria Hill. No, you're exhausting this. This is way better than I thought it was. Yeah, this is really good. Nick Fury. I mean, even if I didn't have the Pericles out, that's still good because you're putting us a purpose. Like, if you think about it, just being able to throw one back on there so I can unexhaust him. Or, yeah, being able to throw counters on, still good. Melinda May, didn't really get to see her do her stuff, but making sure you can look at that top of that deck and know what's going to come and whether you're wanting to handle it or not. I mean, I just went and discarded, but I probably would have kept it on there because it was only a +1 to scheming or damage. Or making sure, yeah, I guess really it's just going to, I was thinking, man, it's going to make it to where, well, if you know they're not going to be able to scheme or thwart, then now you're going to get to see an encounter card. But yeah, she's good. Just really good. I mean, it's like having an extra card in your hand, and I'm pretty sure I was doing that right because it's at the end of the phase. So it's like having an extra card in hand. And many a time I thought about using her as a resource just to get something else out. But then I just saw how much work she was doing, so it was like, nah, keep her doing her work, keep her doing her job. Nope, really, really like that card. I mean, really good just because those statuses, as you were able to see, you could do lockdowns, you could do, yeah, no, I like the Pericles. The Iliad just for its versatility, but of course this is only good for Maria Hill, so you couldn't just throw this with another deck. Yeah, 5 damage, not an attack, remove threat, not a thwart, and healing. I could have used it for healing. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, yeah, shooting missiles, missile counters. 3 damage to the villain and to all engaged. I mean, I'm thinking about Ultron or any of these ones that put out a bunch of villains or a bunch of minions, and you're going to take them all out and you're going to do damage to the villain, and it's not an attack. No, I like it. Support staff. I thought I wouldn't like it. I mean, I thought it was good. It's still good. I mean, I still said it was good. It's just, I was thinking, oh, it's only 3 uses. But as we saw, this deck has a way to make sure, and then with this, moving things around, no, it's good. And then we already talked about command team. So yeah, there was only one of that. Hard choices. We're going to go through this, but I did go through a lot of these with the Maria Hill already, or with the Nick Fury playthrough already. So I'll probably I'm not going to gloss over it. I'm still going to go over them, but I'm not going to belabor the point. We're going to go over the Nemesis first. We didn't see them because we didn't hit a Shadows of the Past, but we got the controller here. 2 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit points. After controller activates against you, remove all purpose counters from a support. Yeah, you got to take care of him before he attacks you. And if Controlled Innocence is in play, put the top card of your deck into play, face down, engage with you as a controlled minion. So yeah, just want to get rid of him so you don't have to worry about losing any of your supports. And Controlled Innocence is going to be one of his other things, but yeah, just like any Nemesis, bad all around. Army of the Controlled, and I just noticed also 6 hit points. So you're going to have to do multiple things. Unless you're going to do the hard call, because most of the things are 5 or 3 damage. So yep. Army of the Controlled, when revealed, find the controlled innocent environments and put it into play. When defeated, discard each controlled minion. Place 1 all-purpose counter on a support of each minion. Discard for each. Yeah, okay. So at least take care of that. Get it taken care of. Controlled Innocence, which both cards reference. Each face-down controlled minion engaged with a player has a base scheme of 1 and a base attack of 1 and a base hit point of 1. And then force response. After a controlled minion is defeated, place that card in its owner's discard pile and place 1 threat on the main scheme. Diabolical Disc, Surge. When revealed, remove 1 all-purpose counter from a support. If Controlled Innocence is in play, put the top card of your deck into play face down. Basically make it another controlled minion or Controlled Innocent. So just get rid of your counters, which those would have been bad. All right, Black Widow. We didn't really get to see her preparation too much because I kind of handled it, and then most of the deck was do damage without it being an attack. And since this is only when you attack her, so, and then add 2 threat when revealed, adding 3 threat when revealed, but everything else is the same. So, I mean, annoying. And then if you go expert, but this being pretty low. You saw with the Nick Fury how we've handled that. If you didn't see it, we basically just made it to where this number was higher. But I mean, there were a couple times where it's like, I hope she don't scheme, but luckily we had the Pericles out to take care of that. Oh, her obligation is right on the top here, so it must have been at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, what was her obligation? Force response after the player phase ends. Remove 1 all-purpose counter from each support you control. No. No, no, no. As an alter ego action, exhaust your identity. So you don't want that to happen, so that means on that turn, unless something's stopping you, which we've seen that happen. I've seen that happen in games where you cannot switch for some reason or whatever. But alter ego action, exhaust your identity, and discard this card. You're going to have to do that because you do not want to go to the end of the player phase and remove all those counters. That would have been almost devastating to the deck. Yeah, we didn't see this standard. Yeah. So we're only going to be talking about stuff that has to do with the expansions. That's what we're doing. The AIM Commando. We didn't see it this time. We saw the Nick Fury one, and I did misplay them in the Nick Fury one. But yeah, that quick strike should happen, even if it's put into play, because it's not. It doesn't say when it's revealed. Quick strike says when it engages, it attacks you. So we didn't see that. Stun net was this. Attached character cannot attack. Exhaust the character you control. Discard this card. Any player may trigger this ability. So that would have been annoying. But we didn't really attack with our main character anyways. But we also used her a lot to draw cards or get a support. So that we could draw a card. So this would have been, okay, we're going to have to go take care of that. After this attack, the preparation is after this attack, attach this to an attacking character. So aim grunt, we didn't see him, but 5 hit points would have been rough because we weren't doing a lot of damage, but we could have just taken it out with, well, we did there. So once we built up, but if it would have came out early, it would have been a pain. Has guard, which would have made where we couldn't attack Black Widow. As a preparation, put this minion into play, engage with you, then resolve the attack against aim grunt instead. So that could have been one where I thought I had it, and then, oh no, she had preparation, then could have made it to where we had to go another turn. So had to make sure I didn't get cocky. We saw this on the first part, but if it would have been a preparation, place 1 threat on each scheme. Yeah, this is annoying because it adds more scheming into the deck. So especially in solo, or you want to make sure to keep, luckily we had her confused at the time. Because I want to say there was a lot of threat on there. Yeah, so adding more schemes to where the villain schemes. No, I don't like it. The night vision goggles beefs up her scheme. Oh yeah, this is the one, we saw this one in Nick Fury. So this one would have been annoying, but we didn't really see the preparation thing all that much in this one. So, and I'm going to look when I see the other one, because this one is different, is a little worded a little different, because it says each encounter card without a printed preparation ability gains preparation. Okay, yeah, no, this one activates different than the other one, so it don't matter. Aim Commando, not really more to say about it other than he engages with you, so you get the quick strike. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, as a hero response, after a character you control attacks Black Widow, if no preparation ability was resolved, discard this card. So I take that, then we did it right. It's just, it's still going to have to retaliate, which I did do. Okay, I did do it, yeah. I was like, oh no, did I forget to do that? I'm pretty sure I did, though. +1 attack. So we saw that. Aim Abductor, when revealed, tuck the ally you control with the most remaining hit points. See, that's what, for some reason, I was thinking. I guess if a surge would have happened to bring him out, then that would have made it to where Nick Fury went over sooner, but yep. Destroy evidence. We did not see it. Each other encounter card gets in sight 1. Yeah, that would have been annoying, but we were kind of handling the scheme pretty good, our threat. We saw attack acrobatics. That was, yeah, switch you to hero form, then she attacks and give her an additional boost card for that attack. That could be a game ender against you if you're not ready for it. You're like, oh man, I'm low on hit points. I'm going to need to heal next turn, so we're going to go ahead and just switch to alter ego form. Oh no, and you just get knocked out. Widow's Bite, you are stunned. Take 1 damage, 2 damage instead if you were already stunned. And then the preparation, after this attack, stun the attacking character. Oh yeah, we didn't go with preparation on this one. Prevent all damage from this attack. So yeah, another thing, good thing I had a way to get rid of that threat, because then otherwise that could have made it to where we had to go an extra round. So yep, good thing I noticed that before I went to go attack. We did see him. Just annoying because you got to bring in the aim scientist, but then they weren't ready for me to just shoot missiles at them, which seems very, they're not stun missiles, right? Widow's Bite. You are stunned, take 1 damage. Oh yeah, we saw this one. Luckily we did not see Shadows of the Past, attack acrobatics, aim abductor, abduct superhumans. Yeah, we saw. I mean, to me it just feels, yes, while it can be annoying and with bad timing, and depending on what that surge ends up being, I find this as good as the player side scheme for leadership, which I was just thinking, do you put that in here because it's a leadership deck? And that lets you go get Nick Fury and start doing stuff. Anyways, I can see how this could be really bad, but both times so far, it's just been helpful for me to use. We saw Covert Ops, Dance of Death. Yep, I mean, anti-leadership decks, luckily. All right, so here's the one time I do think the Abduct Superhumans can be bad. Now, I want to say we did hit this one in the Nick Fury one. Because when revealed, if Abduct Superhumans is not in play, go find it and put it into play. So now you got to go put it into play. But then also discard cards from the top of your deck until an ally is discarded and tuck it. So in that case, I wouldn't have done what I did with Nick Fury. But once again, I don't know. This does make it worse. I just feel like it's kind of a helpful thing. Hey, you'll help me put my allies into play. I guess if you get one that's a big, so I was talking about putting those big expensive allies into play. So if you actually put an expensive one on there, well, now you got some problems and you got to figure out a way to get rid of that. We saw this one. We took care of it. We do not want that to happen because we don't want every card to have preparation ability because we saw a lot of our things go away if they don't have preparation on them. So definitely want that gone. When a player plays an event card, cancel its effects and discard it. Then discard this card. So this is really bad because typically you're planning, basically it's like being stunned or confused because you're going to just play this. You're going to have to waste an event, which is like wasting an attack or a thwart. But I guess it also hits all of their events. Yeah, this is real bad. And then preparation is discard one event card from your hand, which can be, especially certain characters that have those 8 attacks or something like 8 attack damage or something, and you can plant, yeah. No, no, no. Aim Scientist can be annoying, but unless you find a way, I mean, that acceleration and Surge is most likely going to put another minion into place, so you're going to have to deal with that. Yep, annoying. Talked about it. Sorry, I should have sped this up a little bit. NAB. So the last thing, talk about Mad Science. Yeah, you saw. I mean, there's all the minions in here are aim. So now you got acceleration on top of acceleration on top of acceleration. No, you got to take care of that. You can't let them stay out. Well, cool. No, I enjoyed her about as much as I thought I would. Actually, I think I enjoyed her more because I didn't realize about the attack and about the attacks being not attacks, like it's just being damage. No, I like that a lot. I did like Nick Fury also. So both of these, I like both of them. And I can say for a fact, I'm probably keeping this deck together. I may take out 1 or 2, like literally just 1 or 2 cards. Some of those I think I'll keep in 1 or 2 of and just play with 1 or 2 ofs, and I will switch those out. The Nick Fury, because I don't think I said it during it on its playthrough. I think it's the same thing. I think I'm going to keep that deck together and just switch out 1 or 2 cards. I'm finding out a lot with these. A lot of these, when they build these hero decks, they're good. And I could think of cards I'd like to add into them, but why? I always say, hopefully I'll get around to it, and maybe if I get more used to it, but I'll try to make changes that I'm going to make, and then try to just play this against a random villain and see how it goes. And maybe now that I've got a more comfortable spot for us to play, maybe bring in another player and show y'all something other than just solo. But, all right. Hope y'all enjoyed that. If you see anything that I did not address, let me know, or you think I was doing something wrong, but I think I did everything pretty right on that one. I don't know, one thing I missed I'm going to have to go do an edit on, but other than that, thank you for watching, and have a great day.